In this video, we're going to be talking about a very important super global variable called the get variable. Now, the get variable works especially on forms to transfer the inputs of a form from a user to the web server. Now, the get variable works when you're transferring details that are not very important to the web server, like for instance, a username. Okay, so let's quickly look at how the get variable works. Now, in my document here, I have a little web form with just one field and the submit button, and I'm going to put our action as nothing for now. Okay, and our method will be get like that, and I'm going to save that and go to a browser. Now we're going to say form, because that's what I saved mine with, .php. Okay, sorry about that. That's .php. Now you see our form there. Now if you impute anything, like let's say datums, and execute, you see the value of what we imputed is being transferred here on the URL, and the submit is being replaced with the execute, which is what we assign our value to be. Now the hash sign you see there is the action processing the form, which we assume to be what hash. So if we say, okay, we have some details right here that we want to impute to use and process the form, let's say form.php. We're going to impute some things there maybe in our next video, and I save that and refresh. Now I impute, let's say Joseph this time. Now you discover that the hash sign is not there because now we've had an action for our form. Okay, so now we're going to look at how we can process some basic form input using our PHP scripts in our next video. Hello and welcome back. We'll be looking at the post variable, the post super global variable, and the post is similar to the get, just that the post does not transfer form inputs through the URL. Okay, it transfers form input through the HTTP post method, and there you don't get to see it through the URL. So it's safe for transferring things like passwords, credit card details, and important form inputs. So we're still going to be making use of our form from the last video, and we're going to change this to post this time and see what we get. I'll save that and go back to a browser and refresh. Now we still have the same thing, just that when you input a username, like let's say Thomas, and okay, our submit button is not there. Let's Control S and form. Okay, you have something like Thomas here, and execute. Now it executed quite alright, just that you just don't get to see the details right here on the URL. So it's known to be a safer way of transferring form inputs to the server through the browser, because you don't get to see any details of the form on the browser. Now in the next video, we're going to look at how we can combine the two, or we're going to look at how we can restrict some user abilities on the form. Okay, we're going to look at how we can restrict some things. We're going to look at how we can make the user input one or two things in the form using the post method. See you in the next video. Now we're going to be talking about another super global variable called a server, $_server. I'll create some couple of new files so that we'll use in our video. Now the server super global, what it does is it tells you the location of a particular file or script. Okay, and it is written like this, $_server, like this. Okay, so that is how it is being written, and here we're going to be talking about how it works and where it can be useful in our PHP programming. So I'm going to quickly do a save as here first, and I'm going to write save it with server.php. Save that, delete some of this here, and I'm going to leave the form but I'm going to remove the action for now. The method will remain post. I'll save that and change the title also to server. Save that. Now I want to create two different files. Let me quickly create that. What I want to do here is I want to include the server.php file into this file, so I'm going to include that here. So include, okay, so include server.php, and I still want to do something. I want to say if is set. Okay, let's just quickly do something. If is set, now we want to grab a particular, let's reduce this to 2, or let's just use the submit button alone. Okay, let's use the submit button alone. Now I want to say if the button is set, we want to do something. Okay, now if the button which have the name submit, so we'll post, okay, and we'll do this. So have submit. What do we want to do? We want to echo first page, for instance. Okay, I'll save that and I'll call it 10. Let me just call it 10.php. Now we'll have our first PHP file there. I'll quickly create another PHP file. Let me copy what we have here into this place, and I'll quickly, okay, change this to second page. So I'll say this 20, just say 20.php. Now before we go ahead with our explanation, let me quickly show you what happens when you use the script super global. Okay, so allow me to still paste this, but I'm going to delete. Let me save that. Let me save it with super.php. Okay, so now I'm going to remove all of this, and I'm quickly going to show you something. Now I want us to assign that to a name. Now we want to get the location of our super.php script, and we want to know how we're going to do it. But first of all, we're going to assign what we want to write to a variable. Let's say the variable name is script. I want to assign it to $_server. Okay, and we have script name. Okay, now next in line we'll echo, we also just echo $script. Now let's check that in our browser and see what we're going to get. The name is super.php, so we'll change this to super.php, and you see that the location is the root directory of our website folder. Okay, so we have super.php, so it tells you the directory of a particular script. Now this might be useful in such cases as if you want to, for instance, let me close this. If you want to, for instance, process what you have here. Okay, this is our form. Now we want to process what we have here on this and then this, okay, without writing two separate PHP scripts for them. Okay, so now how are we going to do this? Now we want to add a PHP statement that will update the form, whether on the 10.php file or the 20.php file. Now we're going to first of all set a variable. Let's call it script, and let's say our script is $_server. Okay, let's use this and this. I will say script _name. Okay, now when you check that, let me save that, save this, and save this as well. If we check our 10.php, you discover we have our button there. Now if you click on submit, you see first page. Now let's check the other one. Let's check twin. You see the same thing. If you click, you see second page. Now we want this form to be processed on this file and this file. Okay, so we have to run a dynamic script here in the action part of the form, and we're going to write it this way. Now we're going to echo variable script. Now what this does is, when you try to process what you have here using this particular file, the server.php, it's first of all checks for the file location using this, which is here, and then runs this particular file, and it does the same thing here using the server or the script variable on this particular file. Let's check that so that we'll see what I'm talking about. Now if we refresh this page, click on submit, we'll see second page, but let's look at the page source, and then you see that the action here is twin.php. And so for the first page, let's check that. Let's see 10, and we'll click on submit. You see that if we look at the page source, you discover that it is what 10.php. I don't know if you get that, but take a very good look at it. Check the code very well, try to understand it. I'll see you in the next video. This time we're going to be talking about the host variable of the $_ server, and we're going to be very brief with this one. You know, when we're treating the script name, it gave us the URL of the script. Now this time it's going to be giving us the HTTP protocol type, or the domain of what we're working on. Okay, so we're just going to be very brief with it. Now the whole thing goes the same, just that you have to change this to HTTP host. You save that, and let's delete this, and let's quickly echo script. And now let's refresh or go to server. Okay, sorry about that. Let's do that here. And you have localhost, which is the domain part of our URL. We are using localhost, so that is exactly what we expect to see. But if you're on server on the internet, then you see the domain part of your URL. Okay, so that's how HTTP host works. I'll see you in the next. In this video, we're gonna be looking at sessions. Session is another super global variable, just like the underscore server and $_ post and get. But session are used to store user data in the server, and it's kind of very important, especially when you're doing something like a login or registration page, or let me say a login page that prompts the user to log in if the details are correct. So let's look at how we can work with sessions. Now I'm gonna do a save as here, call this session.php, and I'll do a change here, session here, and I'll also have to remove this. Okay, now the session variable is written as $_ session like this. And now let's see how we can use this to accomplish one or two things in this video. Okay, now let's assume we have some specific data in let's say our database, like a user ID, the name, and some private data, and you want to start up a session for a particular user, for instance. And you happen to say session start. Now to declare the session or to start the session, you have to say session start like this. Okay, now to start the session, you start it like this. You say session start like that, and you put a bracket, and next in line you have to declare the session that you starting or opening. Oh no, let's just do it like this. Now don't assign it to a variable. let's just say we're assigning the username to a name. Let's just say a name called datums. Okay, and we've started our session, and we want to see how this works. Now we're going to open another page right here. Let me just copy this and paste it here. Now I'll call this view.php. Let me call it view.php. And now what we want to do is, on a normal node, you're supposed to echo, or include rather, you're supposed to include the session.php in the view.php, so that's to bring everything from here into this place. But it don't work like that with sessions. Instead, since you're starting up a session, you have to call on the session start here. Okay, let's say session start, and then you call on a particular session that you want to start. Now we want to echo it. Now echo session the $_session, and we wrote username. Now let's see how that's going to work. Let's go to our browser, go localhost, and the first file we're going to view there is session.php here. Now when we click on this, you discover that nothing happens, and that is to say the session has been set. Okay, so let's go back and view our session and see. Now you discover that this is now displaying. Now had it been this right here, the session.php was not set, then this wouldn't have came out to be anything. Okay, so that is how sessions have been set. Now in a real sense, you might say if let's put that in an if else statement. Now let's say if, we'll put this in the bracket. Now if session username, or let's say if is set. Okay, let's say if it's set, and put that right there. Now if it's set, want to echo something, want to echo, let's say welcome to our website, for instance, or welcome to our platform. Okay, now if it's not set, we'll have to introduce an else statement there. Now if it's not set, then we'll echo something else. Let's say we'll echo please log in. Please log in. Now let's check that and see how it works. Now since we've already set the session right here in the other form, or in the other script rather, the session.php, now this will set the session, and then when you click on view.php, and when you go to view.php, then it welcomes you to the platform. So that is how the session variable works. Take a very good look at it and know how it works. I'll see you in the next video. In our last video, we saw how we could set sessions, and I'll quickly show you how we can unset that. Or let's assume here we make a mistake by purpose, and we happen to save that. Now if we go to our browser, go to sessions, okay, that's session, not sessions. Session.php will set that, and if we go to view.php, it said please log in because the session user aim has not been set. Okay, what we set here was username. Okay, what was said here was username, and what is being declared here is a different thing. So the PHP does not know when this particular session was set. Okay, So that's by the way. Now we're going to look at how we can unset these sessions, and to do that we need to call on a different function called the unset. Okay, now we have a set and we have unset. We've always been using the set. Now let's look at how the unset works. So I'm going to create a new file. I'll just copy this and paste it here, and I'll call this unset.php. okay, I'll call that unset.php. Now what I'm going to do is, let me make a mistake by purpose so you're going to understand what we're trying to do here very well. I'll just remove that, and now we want to unset the session. Okay, and to do that you just say unset. Okay, you say unset, and then you do it like this, and you're good to go. Now let's see what will happen if we had tried to unset this. Now let's go to a browser, go to session. Now we've set our session. Let's view it and see. Okay, welcome to a platform. That's correct. Now let's go to unset.php and see what we have there. You see an error. That is to say, it's telling us that it doesn't understand what is happening. So you have to declare a particular function up here, and that function is session start. Now even though you're destroying a session, you still have to call on the session start function, so it will know that it's destroying a particular session that's been started before. Okay, so now let's try that again. Let's do session. Okay, we've set our session. Now let's do view. Okay, now let's unset that, and let's do view once again, and you see please log in. That means our code now is correct and it's working perfectly. Okay, so now look at the code very well. That is how it works. But let's quickly try something else. Now let's say you are trying to destroy maybe not only one session, you want to destroy two sessions. So let's say I happen to declare another session here. Let's say this time we're declaring the session age. Let's say age for instance, and you happen to say age is 20. And now we came to a view. We say if is set session username, and okay, let's add something here, and if is set here. Now this will be for session age. Okay, now we're going to erase all of this. Okay, if it's set username and it's set age, now do this. Now what we're going to tell it to do now, so we can confirm what I'm trying to show you here. We're going to concatenate this. We'll say hello. Let's change what we're echoing here. Now we'll say hello. Okay, and we'll say session underscore. Let's just copy that here, just paste it here. Okay, hello this, and okay, let's put a comma there. I am, and then let's add this as well. Okay, years old. Okay, now you might not get what we're trying to do, but when we view that in our browser, we're going to see what we're trying to get. Okay, now else please log in. Okay, all those ones. Okay, now let's try to destroy the session with this unset, and let's see how it's going to work. Okay, now I'll Control S here, and I'll Control S here. Now let's go to a browser, set our session. Okay, session set, and let's view, and you see an unexpected error. Okay, Now the error came in because let's concatenate this. Let's concatenate it. Let's concatenate that to, okay, I think this is okay. Now let's try to refresh and see what we get. It says hello datums, I am 20 years old. That means our session was set. And now let's try to unset that and see. Now we've unset it. Let's view it one more time. Now you discover that it says please log in, which is a very bad practice. Now it's bad because we destroyed only one session right here, which is the username. But since our if statement says this and this, that means both of these must be set before the session will be saved. It set only one and the other one was not saved. Okay, that means it destroyed only one and the other one was not destroyed, but yet it echoed please login. So now to unset all the sessions, we'll use a different function called the session destroy, written like this, session destroy. Now it destroys all the function or all open sections making connection to the server. Okay, now let's try that and see what is going to happen. Now we'll set our session, we'll view that, view. Okay, now let's unset it and let's view that, and you see, okay, let's save our file. Sorry about that. Now let's unset it once again. And view. And it says please log in. Now this time around it destroyed the whole session. Now to confirm that it destroyed everything, I'm going to remove the else statement here. And we're just going to be left with the if statement. Okay, let me save that. Now if is this, do this. All right, now to confirm that the whole session was destroyed, let's quickly get rid of the if statement here. Okay, now let's save that and let's call on the session again. Okay, let's view. Okay, let's unset and let's view that once again. Okay, you say hello, I am years old. Now it unset the whole session. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Okay, now the if statement, when you add it here, it removes the error from here because it's going to tell it what to do. But since there's no statement controlling it, I just want to show you that it automatically removed the whole session. As you can see, there's no session variables in our browser. Okay, so take a very good look at it, understand how it works. I'll see you in the next video. Hello, welcome back. Today we'll be looking at cookies, and cookies are more similar to sessions, just that sessions are bit of information that are stored to the server and cookies are stored to the browser. Okay, they're stored in the browser. Now they are a piece of vital information that are stored in the browser. Now unlike sessions, cookies can be stored for a very long time, but for session, once you exit the browser and leave that website, your session is being closed. So now let's look at how we can set cookies in PHP. Cookies is a very vital thing, but I would advise you not to receive cookies or allow cookies for encrypted or vital information that you have, like your credit card details or your password or totals in your card or something of that nature. Okay, because it can be hacked by hackers and it's going to get you into thinking. Okay, so let's quickly look at how cookies can be set. Now we first of all have to do a save as here, so I'm going to quickly do a save as, and I'm going to call this cookies. Okay, cookies.php, and I'll quickly erase this and this as well. I'll replace that with cookies. And next in line, we're going to set the cookie. Now cookies are set set using the function set cookies. Okay, set cookie. There, now it carries many arguments, but we're going to be looking at 3 basic arguments of cookies. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the name of the cookie. In this case, let's say username, just like we did in our session. Now the value of the cookie, in this case, let's say datums, and lastly the time or the expiration period of the cookie. Okay, now this is a very sensitive part in PHP, and you need to call on a timestamp using the time function in PHP, written like this, time. Okay, now you're going to add that to the particular period that you want the cookie to last. Okay, I don't know if you get that, but if you don't, just follow me, go along with me. We'll soon test that in our browser and use it for yourself. So we want our cookie to last for 10 seconds because it actually calculates this in seconds. Okay, so we'll have to call on the cookie. Let's do a save as here as well, and let's call this csets cookie set. Okay, .php. Let's save that. Now let's remove all of this and let's change this to cookie. Okay, now the way to do it is you're going to call on the cookie function, or the cookie superglobal rather, just like we did for our sessions. Now we're going to use cookie. Okay, and it's going to be like this, and you're going to call on the name of the cookie. Okay, in our case we have username, and I'm quickly going to echo that out so we can see it in our browser. So now what we're going to do is we're going to our browser. We'll first of all call on this to set the cookie, and we'll view it on a csets.php. Okay, so I'm ready for that. Let's go to browser, and we'll first of all call on cookie.php. Okay, let me quickly check the name of that file. Okay, cookies, sorry, it's cookies.php. You see our cookies has been set, and the other one is cset.php, and you see datums. Now you discover that if we happen to last or stay for like 10 seconds, you discover that this cookie will not display this anymore. Okay, now I believe all this while we've been talking about cookies is gone past 10 seconds. So let's quickly refresh this page and see what we get. You discover that the cookie is not there anymore. It rather displayed an error message. That's to tell you that it does not understand what you're saying since the cookie has not been set. Okay, now look at that very well. You need to understand it. Catch you in the next video. Now let's quickly look at how to unset a cookie in PHP. We'll still be using the cookies file on the csets.php. Now from the last video we saw how to set a cookie, and we checked that in our browser and we saw how it worked. Now we're going to see how we can unset a cookie if you don't need it anymore. Okay, so now you might be thinking that a way to unset a cookie, or maybe we're looking for destroy cookies, unset cookies, one or the other like that. No, it doesn't work like that for cookies. Now the way to unset cookies is to use this same line of code, and you this time around, let's say we increase the number of seconds to, let's say, 60 seconds for instance, and the only way to unset a cookie in PHP is to say minus 60 seconds. Okay, so now this we set the cookie from the current time to 60 seconds ahead or 60 seconds later, and this we unset the cookie 60 seconds behind. So this and this, you know, normal mathematics gives you 0. So the cookie was set here and was unset here. Okay, so now if we happen to save this, go back to our browser. By the way, you don't have to tamper with this one, you as well leave it there. Let's check. Now you go to cookies, you check that you set, and then we have C set there, and you see nothing happens. Okay, the cookie was set and then unset at the same time. Now you might want to ask yourself why you unset cookies or delete cookies in your browser. Now let's say you have a user login system, and let's say a particular user logs in for a particular period of time and want to log out. Now you might want to assure that person that as he or she is logging out, the person cookie is also being deleted. Okay, and there's so many other things you can want to do to unset cookies in your browser. Okay, so take a look at the code, check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Have you ever wondered how your IP is being gotten from a company that you're browsing their website? Or have you ever wondered how your IP or an IP has been blocked from accessing a particular website? We're going to look at that in this particular video. We're going to see how to view the IP of the person, or view the IP of your computer, of your browser, of whatever. And we're going to look at also how to block an IP from accessing a particular website. So I'm going to do a save as here. Let me delete this. I'm going to do a save as. Now save this as IP, and okay, and I'll change to IP here. Okay, now remove all of this, and then here to just going to do a save as here, and I'll call this address. Okay, I'll call that address.php, and I'll put IP, and I'll remove all of this as well. Now let's quickly look at how this works. Now the IP address is called using a superglobal server, and is being called like this. Now let's assign that quickly to a variable. Let's give it the variable address. Okay, and it's been assigned like this, server. Okay, now you write remote. Okay, that's remote. No, so we'll say remote address, and the address is not written in full, but it's written like this. Okay, now what we're going to do now, this is what the statement here of the variable here tells you, or gives you the remote address or the IP of your computer, of your browser. Okay, so now we're going to include this file in here, and we're going to do a little HTML here. Let's do a little HTML. Let's use the h1 tag. Let's use the h1 tag to do something very important. Let's say welcome to a platform, or welcome to our platform. Okay, save that, and I'm just gonna use the require instead of include. I'm gonna say require address.php. Okay, and I'm going to require address.php. Now let's quickly refresh that and see if we're not making a mistake somewhere. Now I'll go to my browser, and I'll quickly go to ip.php and see. You see welcome to our platform. That means our require statement worked perfectly well. Okay, so let's go back to our editor and continue. So here we assign this to a variable called address. So if we want to view the IP of our a client system, we'll simply echo, since we've required that particular file, we'll just echo address, the address variable. Okay, now let's see what that will give us when we check IP, and you see that is a local host, ::1, or is 127 .0.0.1. okay, anyone, whatever that is, how it is been written. We're going to look at how to block an IP, and here we're going to be using an if else statement to do that alongside a for each. But first of all, we're going to assign an IP in an array. Okay, we're going to give an array of an IP. Now let's give an IP, and we're going to say our IP have an array of let's just put the local host IP for now. It's 127.0.0.1, and we'll have let's just give other IPs for now, even if they are not real. Okay, let's just, that's for testing purposes. Okay, and one more. Here we'll have let's say 00.199.212.002, for instance. Now this is a list of IP that we want to block from our accessing our website. So now what we're going to do is, this is our website right here, so we're going to use the for each loop to declare that. Now what we're going to do here is, since IP here has an array, we're going to say for each IP as let's declare another statement. Let's say for each IP as let's say proxy, for instance. Okay, we want to do something. Okay, now for each IP as proxy, let's say echo, we're going to echo this IP. Okay, I don't know if you get that, but if you don't get it, just follow us. Now we're going to echo IP, and we're going to concatenate that with a break tag so as to enable it to be listed under each other. Okay, so we're going to concatenate that with a BR tag and semicolon there. Now let's quickly refresh our page and see what we'll get. Now we have an error there. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing the mistake. Now this is supposed to be echo proxy, okay, not IP. So let's echo proxy and see. Now let's go back to our browser and refresh that. Now echo proxy, you see a list of a proxy IP, sorry, listed on our browser. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to restrict those IPs from accessing our website. So we're going to erase this particular line, and we're going to introduce an if else statement. Now we're going to say if, okay, we're going to say if proxy, now if proxy is equal to, now if proxy is equal to the address, that is the IP of the current system of the current computer you're working on. Now if IP is equal to address, okay, we want to do something. Now what we're going to do is we're just simply going to die the page. Okay, now we don't want to do any other thing, we just want to die the page and leave it like that. Okay, so now let's refresh that and see what we get. Now we'll refresh. I've changed the address to the address that it echoed to the browser initially, and now we're doing that again. Say if proxy is equal to the address of your browser, then it should kill the page at that point. Okay, that is to say you don't want the person to access that page which is underneath your script, okay, your code up here. So now what we're going to do now to make it look more nice looking is to just echo or die a particular statement. Now let's say we want to die sorry, okay, sorry, your IP is restricted. Okay, now that's what I want to die. So we'll just save that and refresh the page, and you see that your IP is what restricted. It echoes what the die statement. So take a look at that, and mind you, we changed this to we changed it from 127.0.0.1 to this, which was the initial thing that the browser echoed to us to be our IP of our local host. So look at that, look at it very well. That's how to grab and block the IP of a particular client or a particular IP from accessing your website. Okay, I'll take a very good look at it. I'll see you in the next video.